#5#.
I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. John chapter 11, verse 25.
To get John chapter 11, dial *811 *965#. To get John chapter 11, dial *811 *965#.
Every day, over 15 million members are transforming Africa. $15 million members, empowered to learn, to grow, to harvest, to lead, to dream. Equity. Karibu member.
It's 1 p.m. East African time. Good afternoon. This is KBC Lunchtime News. Thanks for making time. My name is Njue, and our sign language interpreter for this live newscast is Lensa Odingo. You can be part of the conversation through our various social media spaces as we are live on Facebook, on YouTube, and also on Twitter. Straight to the news, we begin at the coast, where Coast Regional Commissioner John Elungata says security apparatus in the coastal region are well prepared for the August 9th general election. The commissioner, who was accompanied by the Regional Police Commander Titus Karori, called on the political class to avoid divisive politics and preach peace. Yusuf Farah begins our live coverage with that story.
Coast Regional Commissioner John Elungata said security officers in the region are keen to ensure calm prevails throughout the electioneering period.
Let our politicians walk around, look for votes, do what, but they should not allow a situation to develop which will lead to tension, panic, death, or suffering of our people.
Sentiments echoed by the Regional Police Boss Titus Karuri, who said the authorities will provide a secure environment for all Kenyans to exercise their democratic right, cautioning the political class against hate-mongering.
Tumeshamaliza mapping na deployment yetu ya officers wale watakava all the polling stations, even here in Tana River, in Lamu, everywhere. And it is the same around the country.
This even as the National Cohesion and Integration Commission called on locals in Kisii to always maintain peace. The area commissioner Dorcas Kidogo criticized members of the political class for pitting their voters against each other, saying this may lead to violence.
Watu ambapo wanajaribu ama wanasiasa mnapojaribu kutumia hawa wananchi wa chini, tungewaambia kwamba wapatieni maisha yao, jueni kwamba kuna maisha baada ya kura, kwa sababu hata mkifanya hivyo na wakufe, nani watawapigia kura jameni?
Kesho pia watakuwa na kikao ya kina mama, na pia siku hiyo ingine Wednesday watakuwa na kikao na various actors, peace actors within the county.
This is for reporting for Lunchtime News.
From the coast to county number 14, where a section of residents in Embu town are crying foul over heaps of garbage in the area that have remained uncollected for months. The aggrieved residents who say that the garbage pose a health hazard are blaming the county government of negligence. They claim that issues of corruption and bad leadership have affected service delivery, with their pleas remaining unheeded. The locals have called on the county government to take up the matter with seriousness it deserves.
Punda ndiye inakuja kuokota takataka, na hiyo punda inahesabiwa kama mtu. Ati ni mtu ameajiriwa, lakini ni punda. Na tinga ilinunuliwa ya kuwa inaokota takataka. Sasa badala ya tinga ni punda, na hiyo punda inalipwa mwisho ya mwezi kama binadamu, ama kama hiyo tinga. Ni pesa inaingia kwa mfuko ya watu. Serikali kuu ituangalie hii masirai. Na tunaona hata viti wanakuja kuitiza viti. Wanaitiza viti ya nini? Kuna miaka 10.
Otherwise kila mtu kutoka pande ya Meru, akifika town Embu, akipita kuelekea Nairobi, hii ni aibu peke yake. Na hakuna mtu amefurahishwa na aibu ya aina hii. Na hii ili iondolewa na ili ni serikali ya Embu ni kaunti Embu ikuwe healthy, italingana yule kiongozi taweka pale mbele.
Tuangalie mzuri sana hii uchaguzi unakuja mwezi wa 8 tarehe 9, tuchaguane mzuri, tusiwe tunavinywa juu ya viongozi kuchagua watu wa pesa, waende wakarudisha pesa kwa mifuko yao. Kwa hivyo sio kutusaidia. Ni vizuri kuchagua kiongozi, lakini sio kuchagua pesa. Sababu hii masinda iko hapa si ati imeingishwa na viongozi peke yake. Hata wewe unachukua kura unaenda kuchagua mtu, hata wewe unaleta hiyo cost hapo.
Kwa hapa na hii ni highway, kila mtu anapita hapa anashindwa hii ni mkubwa wa mangava na kuna hii tabia inafanya hivi. Njue na sasa anatuambia ni tajiri kwa wote, anataka kiti ya ngava, na sasa tunajiomba sisi tuombe serikali kuu mahali hiko ikuje tusaidie, isikie kilio chetu, tuone kama tutasaidika. Hospitali hakuna dawa, mtu akigonjeka ni lazima aende private hospital, ukiwa unakandi pale utahudumiwa, utakufa.
Away from that, 10 small-scale agricultural and entrepreneurial groups within Ruiru constituency in Kiambu County have benefited from a cash donation of 3 million shillings courtesy of the CDF. The funds are expected to help the business community recover from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Ruiru MP Simon Kengara says the money will go a long way in improving the standards of living of the beneficiaries. He urged locals to form cluster groups to benefit from such empowerment programs.
Ni mzito hasa kutokana na vile kulikuwa na corona, watu wengi walipoteza biashara, walipoteza kazi yao. Kuna wale wawekezaji wadogo wale wanatembeza mali kwa mikono. Mumeona tumewafadhili kulingana na uwezo wetu.
Hiyo pesa itatunufaisha juu tutakaa chini juu tuko na zingine na zote tunaweka kwa account. By the end of the year tunakaa chini, tunajipanga kama ni shamba tuta agree tununue.
Moving on, a 96-bed capacity dormitory has been commissioned at the Ikoisuk Primary School in Loitoktok, Kajiado County to house some 100 girls enrolled in the school. The facility is expected to help retain the learners in school and protect them from retrogressive practices and wild animals which have often denied their peers a chance to get education.
During the commissioning of the new dormitory, parents and other education stakeholders lauded the initiative, saying it will give pupils from the area a chance to access same learning opportunities like other privileged Kenyan pupils.
Watoto wako wamekuja, wameingia kwa boarding, hawana shida. Tunashukuru tu Mungu kwa sababu wanakutana njiani, wengine wanaweza uliwa, lakini saa hii watoto wetu wako sawa.
Kupitia kwa uhusiano wetu na stakeholders wa Big Life administration, mambo yetu ya shule tunasukuma, na tunaona tukiendelea namna hiyo mambo itakuwa mzuri, watoto wote watapata elimu pande hii na watanufaika kabisa.
The parents further described challenges faced by their children occasioned with going through dangerous terrains, thickets and facing wild animals.
Watoto wanatoka mbali wakikuja shuleni, lakini ndovu iko kila mahali. Kwa ajili ya hii kiangazi, ndovu imekuwa kila mahali ikitembea.
Ndovu utawapata hata kwenye mchana tu, watoto wakiwa shuleni wakizunguka. Asubuhi hawawezi kuja mapema shuleni kwa sababu ya hao wanyama.
Wildlife conservationists say the most powerful way to empower local communities is through improving access to education through scholarships, constructing infrastructure, employing more teachers, having schools connected with the internet, as well as having school feeding programs. Is it now? There are 441 actively sponsored students on full Big Life Scholarships program since it began in 1997. And it has seen over 800 students receive full scholarships over time.
Let's shift focus to matters politics now, where the Azimio la Umoja presidential running mate Martha Karua has challenged those who will be manning the 2022 general election to safeguard the integrity of the electoral process. Karua, who was addressing a section of teachers in Kiambu County, underscored the need to end cycle of disputes elections in the country. She further promised to focus on addressing the welfare of teachers and doctors. She, alongside the coalition's presidential flag bearer Raila Odinga, wins in the August polls.
The Azimio la Umoja presidential running mate Martha Karua met stakeholders from the health and education sectors in Kiambaa constituency of Kiambu County to discuss the coalition's plan to address issues bedeviling the two critical sectors. Karua promising to prioritize the welfare of teachers and doctors under the Azimio la Umoja administration.
I am asking you to join us. It will be a long journey, and not everything may come on time the way we want it when you're stretching resources. But I know what matters is that we engage you, you know where we are, we make commitments together and we move together.
Karua using the platform to call for impartiality among those who will be manning the 2022 general election.
A lot of teachers are the presiding and returning officers. Please don't listen to anyone from whichever side asking you to corrupt the process.
She further reiterated the need to end the cycle of disputed elections in the country.
This country, we have to free ourselves from contested elections. We did so once in 2002. My prayer, let us reason together, get it right this time. Let the difference be so big and we have enough time. Those odd 4 weeks or less than 4 weeks remaining, your influence in every corner matters.
The meeting brought together a section of members of the Kenya National Union of Teachers, Kenya Union of Post-Primary Teachers, and the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentist Union, who vowed to support the Odinga Karua presidency.
We are supporting Azimio because we know you will stand with us and you have always stood with us.
For Lunchtime News, I'm Safin Aching Oma.
Away from politics, the government has been urged to allow students transiting in junior secondary schools to be posted in sub-county schools. Educational stakeholders who converged in Nairobi for a 3-day regional education learning initiative stressed on the need to address gaps in the education sector.
A Regional Education Learning Initiative held its 5th convention in Nairobi, which brought together stakeholders from different organizations. While calling on the government to help address gaps in the sector, the stakeholders urged the ministry to allow students transitioning in junior secondary schools to be posted in the sub-county schools.
We have the children who are transiting to junior secondary posted to the sub-county secondary schools where they can commute from home, and if in the unlikely event they are not able to commute, they be allowed to go home every weekend so that they are close to their parents.
They further called for review of the capitation model and strengthen collaboration with civil society.
Already a number of progressive initiatives that are ongoing and that really should continue. I would also like to encourage them to explore Rally, because again, this is really a hotbed of budding solutions waiting to find a home within different settings in Kenya to ensure that education for children in Kenya is truly for all.
The fifth convention, which is under a theme taking stock to inform the future of education, is set to culminate this Thursday.
It's what we are calling upon to address the learning crisis and use methods and innovate ways of ensuring that every child is learning at the level that they are supposed to.
As the government steps up efforts of implementing the competency-based curriculum, stakeholders have been challenged to come up with progressive policies that will help in addressing the gaps in the education sector.
Moving on, Laikipia Governor Ndiritu Mureithi challenged the leaders. I'll take that again. Laikipia Governor Ndiritu Mureithi has challenged the leaders to be watchful of what they say in public and urged them to respect divergent opinions. The governor wants voters to reject divisive politicians.
Governor Ndiritu Mureithi has defended the Jubilee scorecard, saying a lot of development has been achieved over the last 10 years. The governor urged voters to reject hate mongers.
Weke amani katika hii mambo. Hii rumuruti yetu tarehe 10 tutaendelea kuwa hapa. Usikasirika na mwenzako. Wewe muombe Mwenyezi Mungu atoke huko aingie kwa serikali ndani. Sivyo? Tusifanye makosa tujipate kwa opposition. Kwa sababu kura yetu imetawapika kila pahali. Sasa tuongezee Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga kura awe rais wetu.
Karibuni nyumba ya Jubilee. Nyumba yetu ni kubwa, watu hawezi kuja. Hapo ndio wananchi wa Kenya ambao hawataki makasiriko, ambao hawataki matusi.
Meanwhile, a group of elders and youth from Lagdera constituency have embarked on a campaign to promote peace in the region.
Tumehadiana na watu wote safari hii tuchague mama kutoka Lagdera kwa ajili tumesahaulika kutoka miaka 1969 mpaka sasa hivi ni wanaume ndio tulikuwa tunawachagua. Safari hii kina mama wameinuka na wakasema watamchagua mama, vijana kwa wazee, kina mama wote, na tumefurahia.
Locals from Isiolo County have been urged to be wary of leaders who are out to sow division among communities living in the region.
Mimi mkinipatia fursa ya kuwa gavana yenu, nitahakikisha wakaaji wa Isiolo wote, regardless umetoka kabila gani, wewe ni wa dini gani, sote tunaishi kwa amani na watu wanaishi kwa upendo ndani ya Isiolo County.
The Jubilee Party team has also called upon electorate to elect leaders who already have a good relationship with the government of the day.
Hii serikali itawafanyia kazi. Usitafute watu wengine ambaye wanakuja kupigia nyinyi kitandawili ya pesa 8 ya kusema ya kwamba sisi ndo tuko na lineup ambaye ni complete. Lineup ile ambaye itafanyia nyinyi kazi hapa ni wale wako mbele yenu.
Moving on, Malindi conservationists and tourism stakeholders have raised concern over syringes suspected to be used by drug addicts littering the beaches. The used syringes were found during the monthly cleanup exercise organized by Progress Welfare Association at Mbunduani area along the Malindi beachfront.
There is a growing concern over careless dumping of used syringes suspected to be used by drug addicts at beaches in Malindi. The sorry state of affairs was confirmed by children who are among the stakeholders taking part in the cleanup aimed at making Malindi green and blue.
And I want to encourage more people to join our club with our cheerleader, Nisha. She helped made a club called Malindi Blue and Green, and we want to encourage more people to come to this club so we can make an environment the better.
Sebastian Mosia, the chairman of the Malindi Tourist Market, said it was unfortunate that syringes and all sorts of plastics could be dumped on the beach, which is a tourist attraction area.
Ingeomba huo uchafu uweze kusimamishwa usiendelee kwa ajili ya wageni wetu hata sisi wenyewe. Upande wa security pia ni vizuri security nayo iweze pia kutembea huko baharini, yaangalie vile ambao kunakuwa. Maana unaweza kuona pengine hakuna security, kila mtu anafanya vile anataka.
Sergeant Abu Bocha from KWS Malindi Marine National Park said the cleanup exercise was important for ensuring the environment was clean.
Zile takataka tunakuja nazo, tunarudi nazo na tunaweka mahali ambapo inastahili. Kuliko kuja kutupa kwa bahari, vizazi vinazokuja tutakuwa tumeharibu mazingira yetu, havitapata bahari ikiwa mzuri, ama tutapata fuo zetu zikiwa maridadi na za kupendeza. Zinaua viumbe vingi baharini. Kuna kasa wako kwa bahari, kuna matumbawe ambao ni corals zinakufa, kuna samaki wanakufa kwa sababu wao wanakiona vitu kama plastic anaona ni jellyfish.
Ruth Wamboy for Lunchtime News.
And still on the environment, Kenya Water Institute has announced the construction of a campus in Kyuso, Mwingi North, Kitui County at a cost of 1.7 billion shillings. The campus is set to provide sustainable water solutions in the area through applied research.
Area member of National Assembly Paul Nzengu, who was speaking during a public participation exercise at Chuso Market, said the county government has already donated 12 acres piece of land for its construction. The campus, which will be run by the Kenya Water Institute, will provide training venues for seminars and workshops aimed at maintaining standards in the water and sanitation sectors.
Angalia maneno ya hii ndoto kukamilika, lakini ndio ikamilike, kuna kazi ambayo inahitajika, kuna pesa ambayo inahitajika kwa kufanya ile ujenzi ndio ikue ujenzi ambao unafaa. Ma architect ama wachoraji wamekuwa hapa, wametuonyesha picha ambayo ni kuonyesha vile campus itakuwa. Ni campus ambayo itagharimu pesa mingi, takriban zaidi ya bilioni 1, lakini tuna imani ya kwamba hiyo pesa itapatikana.
The campus will also provide sustainable water solutions in the area through applied research.
Already we have a campus in Kitui town, but tumeona kama we can't reach the vast populace of this region, and therefore it is imperative that we come to this other part of Kitui so that we reach a diverse and the vast populace of this particular county.
Kiwi Director Riaga Kennedy said the institution is working towards the realization of goals of expanding the facilities to other water-scarce areas within the country. Frederick Mwoki for Lunchtime News.
Let's now reshift our focus to education matters. At least 30,000 bright but needy students or learners in Kisumu County have benefited from over 51 million shilling scholarship and bursaries from the county government. The money is the last tranche of funds to be allocated by the county from the education kitty in the previous financial year.
This brings to a total over 205 million shillings, the amount released to the needy students in secondary, colleges and universities in the financial year 2021-2022. Kisumu Deputy Governor Dr. Matthew Sowili, who presided over the event, urged the youth in the county to take advantage of vocational institutes near them to gain skills and beat the unemployment menace.
We are striving to establish the test at least one vocational training center per ward to bring the training closer to our residents. We urge the youth to enroll in vocational training centers near them, since the county guarantees partial payment of applicable fees of 15,000 Kenya shillings.
The DG reiterated the county government's commitment to improving the education sector, having invested heavily in early childhood learning.
On ECD, ladies and gentlemen, Kisumu County has been blazing the trail as well with a firm foundation on this particular sector. We have increased the ECD centers to 684, out of which 627 are anchored in primary schools and 57 are standalone public ECD centers. The public ECD centers have a total enrollment of 52,818 children.
The beneficiaries from the kitty were drawn from across the 35 wards in Kisumu County and include 70 students at the Kisumu Marine College. For Lunchtime News, I am Wycliffe Okage.
Very well, we are due for a fast break, but when we come back, I will take you through some couple of business stories, and later on, I will be telling you the latest KBC Sports sponsorship. But before I do that, let me appreciate Alhaji Fashions, watching from Mombasa Kisauni. Pogi Niko, you say you're watching from Ruiru. Charity Maina, you say you're tuned in. Zik Sextate, you're also tuned in. Let's have that break now.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Welcome back and thanks for keeping it KBC. Let's now make sense of shillings and cents in business. Farmers in arid and semi-arid regions have turned to agronomy to remain afloat as a record-breaking drought wrecks their animals and crops. Experts are now training pastoralists on crops that help retain soil moisture and act to minimize soil erosion. And as Hibak Said narrates, farmers like Kennedy Ngoma are now enjoying the fruits of investing in indigenous crops that have improved their food security and nutrition. Take a look.
It is high noon at Kennedy Ngoma's farm. The cool breeze blowing through the trees is akin to a tender embrace, covering one with nature's comfort. His farm is a mosaic of exotic and indigenous trees, such as Caliandra, African cherry, casuarinas, gravelia, markamia, croton, and Cordia africana, among others. Ngoma's farm is modeled on agroforestry, the concept of growing beneficial trees and food crops on family land which provide food, fodder, timber, fruits, medicinal plants, and organic fertilizer, among other benefits. Employing agronomy, he runs the full cycle of integrated farming, growing trees for fodder and firewood, and selling timber in commercial markets.
Kwanza imesaidia kwa ujenzi, imesaidia kuleta pesa, imesaidia kutengeneza hewa, kwa sababu hata penye mko kuna hewa nzuri ya miti, imesaidia kusuluhisha mambo ya vita kati ya majirani juu ya mambo ya kuni, tubaki tunapika na kuni pande hii japokuwa kwa kiasi fulani.
Ngoma is urging farmers to use natural cropland management techniques of preserving the delicate soil, such as covering crops, mulching, crop rotation, and compost management. So far, the farmers who have taken up agronomy in this project have also planted in excess of 500,000 indigenous and exotic trees that help in nitrogen production and soil management.
Imenisaidia kuleta rutuba kwa sababu ile majani ya miti wakati yenye nimekata miti ama ng'oa miti ama nimefanya pruning, hiyo majani naweka kwa compost, natengeneza manyiwa. Hiyo manyiwa naweka kwa shamba ya mahindi, shamba ya mboga, shamba ya matunda aina zingine, napata chakula.
The farmers now know the importance of growing new trees naturally to curb carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, a process known as carbon capture. Indigenous tree farming is also reducing pressure on natural forests by providing a stable and sustainable source of local wood that generates long-term income for smallholders. And the benefits stretch out to livestock rearing too, where cows fed with Caliandra produce more liters of milk and of better taste than using the commercial feed. Sector players now say agroforestry could be used as a way to mitigate the adverse effects of climate change in the long run, all the while serving real-time returns to farmers in places with arid land.
And it is time we stop doing agriculture as business as usual and look for alternative. And the alternative that we are promoting is in terms of agroforestry and agroecology.
Watu wa ukulima wameendelea kuinuka kabisa kwa minajili ya kuona faida ambayo wanapata katika hiki kilimo cha agroforestry.
Hibak Said for Lunchtime News.
Now, Kenyans are being urged to increase investments in the financial markets such as stocks amid a massive exit by foreign investors who are fleeing frontier and emerging markets in search of safer havens. Wealth managers say the situation presents an opportunity for better priced and attractive offerings whose returns are pegged to pay off post-current shocks that include a jump in interest rates in developed markets such as the United States.
Data from the central bank indicates that government securities and fixed deposit in banks offered Kenyan investors their highest returns in the first half of the year.
A slightly weaker or volatile currency, potential of rising interest rates, and maybe a slowdown in economic activity, which comes at this period where people have a more wait-and-see attitude. That is what is concern to investors.
The equities market witnessed sheer depreciations on reduced appetite from emerging markets after a jump in interest rates in developed markets such as the US.
So they remain in very liquid cash-related assets or securities short term for them to sit out the next couple of months as they see how the country transitions through this slightly difficult economic period.
Investors' wealth at the Nairobi Securities Exchange shrunk 26% in the first half, wiping out 653.7 billion shillings of shareholders' fortune. Notwithstanding, wealth managers say the time is nigh for local investors to increase their investment in the financial market.
Fundamentally, the companies listed there, nothing has changed negatively. It's just because their trading prices have come down. So it's a huge opportunity for them to re-enter the market at what we call better prices, better valuations, and better price earning multiples.
While launching its private wealth management service, Old Mutual Investment Group Managing Director Anthony Mwiviga allayed fears of foreign investor flight, saying the situation presented opportunities for local investments at better or price offering.
In these current uncertain times in financial markets, we believe our clients and potential clients, they need to work closely with a reputable investment manager like ourselves.
The private wealth management service targets high net individuals keen on boosting the investment portfolio with 10 million shillings to spare.
Elsewhere, agriculture entrepreneurs battling the COVID-19 aftershocks are appealing to the government to provide help and improve their business environment to help them get back on their feet. Herders in Kajiado County will benefit from a 23 million shillings livestock yard meant to boost livestock business in the region. Details of this and more coming up in our corporate briefs.
Herders in Kajiado County will benefit from a 23 million livestock yard meant to boost livestock business in the region. The project, funded by the Kenya Climate Smart Agriculture in conjunction with Kajiado County, has the capacity to hold 1,500 cattle, 1,000 sheep, and 500 goats respectively, with compartments set to also cater to unhealthy livestock. The herders lauded the project in noting that most parts of the county had become drought-prone, hence the need to sell their livestock during the yard sale to prevent losing their animals during the dry season. Kajiado Governor Joseph Olelenku has said the county will continue to empower farmers, urging them to diversify to pedigree breeds for better returns.
Sehemu hii ama soko hili ni sehemu ya biashara ya mifugo na najua kwamba itakuwa pia na other support services.
Normally up to 10,000 heads of animals exchange hens worth so many millions. And that part forms part of the income for this county.
Njue Kami for Lunchtime News.
And across borders, Zimbabwe says it will introduce gold coins later this month as it tries to curb soaring inflation amid a slump in its currency. The country's central bank also outlined plans to make the US dollar legal tender for the next 5 years. Details of this and more in our Continental Business Roundup.
The central bank's main interest rate has more than doubled this month to 200% after the annual rate of inflation rose above 190%. Zimbabwe's dollar has slumped in a value against major currencies this year. The gold coins, which will contain 1 troy ounce of 22-karat gold, will be available from 25th July. The announcement is part of the Zimbabwe government measures to tackle the country's currency crisis. Last month, the annual rate of inflation hit 191.6%, while the Zimbabwean dollar has lost more than 2/3 of its values against the US dollar since the start of 2022. From July 1st, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe's main interest rate was raised from 80% to 200% a year in a bid to deal with the rising cost of living. Meanwhile, Nigeria's private airline Air Peace will start direct flights to Guangzhou, China and Mumbai, India in a move to expand connection to the Asian continent. The airline, in a statement issued on Tuesday, said the first flight of one's weekly flight from Lagos, Nigeria Economic Hub to Guangzhou is scheduled for 13th July and 2 weekly flights to India later this month, as it hopes to increase frequencies when operations garner momentum. According to the statement, these new destinations were further testimony to the airline's determination to connect Nigerians seamlessly to other parts of the world and deepen social economic ties. According to the statement, these new destinations were further testimony to the airline's determination to connect Nigerians seamlessly to other parts of the world and deepen socio-economic ties between Nigeria and both countries. Finally, Gambia and the World Bank signed a $68 million grant on Tuesday to revive the country's struggling tourism sector. The grant is meant to support the diversification and climate resilience of the tourism in the Gambia. The sector, like industries across Africa, has been hard hit by the pandemic and economic fallout of the war in Ukraine. The pandemic caused Gambia's economic growth to contract by 0.2% in 2020, according to the World Bank. The economy has since started to recover, reaching 5.6% growth in 2021, largely driven by the return of beach resort goers and remittances. Tourism accounts for roughly 20% of Gambia's gross domestic product and is the largest foreign exchange earner. Terry Njenga, Lunchtime News.
In other news, over 10,000 women in Seriolipi area of Samburu East have been on the forefront, have been fought from Finsila support from the Smart Development Foundation to begin income-generating ventures. The foundation's CEO, Robert Lemeketo, said they are targeting to financially empower women from mainly marginalized communities to be self-sustaining.
Hivi karibuni mfuko ya mama itakuwa na pesa. Hivi karibuni mama hatakuwa na njaa, mama hatakuwa maskini, mama hatakuwa na maji, mama hatakuwa na vitu zingine zote ambaye inastahili kuonekana. Msamburu live a dignified, especially a Samburu woman. A Samburu woman lives a dignified life.
Further afield, the pound has fallen to a 2-year low against the dollar, reflecting traders' increasing concerns about recession around the world as energy prices continue to soar. The Bank of England has warned that its effect on the economic outlook for the UK in the last few weeks has deteriorated materially, and the sterling could fall even further after predictions of economic stagnation and as inflation soars. Here are the details of this and other stories from across the globe.
The sterling is continuously weakening as global markets worry about UK's economic growth. London stock markets have fallen drastically this week, but the UK government says the dip is not a significant factor in the pound's fall. Energy and fuel costs are rising rapidly around the world, pushing up prices in general more quickly. However, the Bank of England says UK banks are in a position to weather even a severe economic downturn. The central bank has told banks to keep more money in rainy day funds to ensure they can weather any storm. International forecasters such as the IMF and OECD have said Britain is more susceptible to recession and persistently high inflation than other Western countries. Meanwhile, the Norwegian government has confirmed an end to industrial action which threatened to cut off most of the UK's gas imports. The government has further assured the safety of workers going back to work. This, as many European countries grapple with a gas supply shortage, as Norway is the continent's second largest energy supplier after Russia. The industrial action started earlier this week, following a pay dispute between the employers' organization, the Norwegian Oil and Gas Association, and the union Ledern, which represents oil and gas workers. The first phase forced the Norwegian energy company Equinor to shut down 3 of its oil and gas fields. More strikes were expected, however. The government finally intervened. Finally, the American crypto lender Voyager Digital has filed for bankruptcy a week after the crypto lender suspended withdrawals, trading, and deposits to its platform as it sought additional time to explore strategic alternatives. The New Jersey-based company estimated that it had more than 100,000 creditors and somewhere between $1 billion and $10 billion in assets and liabilities worth the same value. In the past week, Voyager said it had issued a notice of default to Singapore-based crypto hedge fund 3 Arrows Capital for failing to make required payments on a loan of 15,250 Bitcoin worth approximately $324 million and $350 million worth of USDC. Hibak Saeed for Lunchtime News.
Let's do sports now. Kenya Broadcasting Corporation Acting Managing Director Samuel Maina has promised that KBC will be at the forefront in supporting different sporting activities with the aim of giving a chance to every sportsman and woman. Maina stated that many juniors give up on their talents due to lack of support and motivation.
Speaking during the unveiling of sponsorship to 4 rally drivers by KBC, Acting Managing Director Samuel Maina called on more women and young talents to join rally due to its fast rising pace in the country.
We launched the sporting event for KBC. We have about 8 of them for the whole of from now to next year. So this is a sporting house as well as a broadcasting house.
Lioness Rally founder and driver Lisa Christopherson and KBC News anchor Paul Njue hailed the support from KBC.
We appreciate the partnership now we've gotten into with KBC, and just you have mentioned, we have more rallies that are aligned for us, like 14 of them, and I believe Now, because of the partnership, we are going to fly the flag high of KBC, and we are going to rally under KBC.
And I have to say thank you, KBC. We are so proud to be partnered with you. We're coming up with the slogan that women here are driving for change, supported by KBC.
During the rally cross, Team KBC will be represented by 4 drivers. George Joroge will participate in the champions category, John Gogi in the veteran category, while Pauline Shegu and John Kadivani will compete in the lady driver and junior categories respectively.
Being a rookie racer and starting out recently with my first autocross event, I just passed up a few weeks ago. This will be my second event, and KBC, I really want to thank you for this opportunity. And this actually goes to show that you guys are really supporting the youth within motorsports.
The rally cross will be held on the 9th and 10th of July in Machakos County. For Lunchtime News, I'm Daniel Mwendwa.
Truly your true sports partner. Elsewhere, former Football Kenya Federation President Nick Mwendwa has had his charges dropped by the Director of Public Prosecutions. Through the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the government has withdrawn all charges against the former Football Kenya Federation President. Mwendwa has been a wanted man since he was ousted from office last year on allegations of massive embezzlement of money at FKF. He resigned from his post last year, the government instituting a caretaker committee to oversee football issues in the country. The Kenya Simbas will face Algeria Lion Cubs today in the semi-finals of the 2023 Rugby World Cup Africa qualifiers at the Lot Stadium in Marseille, France. The duel that also doubles up as an Africa Gold Cup fixture will be played before the other semi-final between Namibia and Zimbabwe at Maurice David Stadium. Kenya defeated Uganda Cranes 42-7 to set up the meeting with Algeria, who beat Senegal 35-12 on Saturday. Namibia, who are the Africa Gold Cup defending champions, dispatched Burkina Faso 71-5, while Zimbabwe thumped Ivory Coast 38-11. Algeria played their first international match in 2007 against Tunisia and joined Rugby Africa in 2015. Simbas are ranked 32 in the World Rugby ranking, while the Lion Cubs are currently ranked 82nd in the world. Moving on, national women volleyball team Malkia Strikers are in the second week of training in Brazil ahead of the World Championships, which will be held in Netherlands and Poland in September. Kenya has been drawn in Pool A for the World Championships and will face host Netherlands, Puerto Rico, Belgium, African rivals Cameroon and Italy. The first match will be against the host on the 23rd of September. Head coach Paul Bitok says with the technical support provided, the team is ready for the World Championships. To soccer now, England will host Austria today at Old Trafford in the opening game of the Euro 2022. A crowd of 70,000 plus fans is expected for the first of 31 matches this month.
England boss Sarina Wiegman says everyone is available for selection when the hosts take on Austria. Wiegman guided the Netherlands to the Women's European Championship title in 2017. England have a very good squad with depth, and they will have to make hard choices. This is Austria's second Euros after making it to the semi-finals on their European Championship debut in 2017, when they defeated Switzerland, Iceland and Spain, as well as holding France to a draw. They are 21st in FIFA's world rankings, 13 places below England, and come into the tournament off the back of friendly wins over Montenegro and Belgium. This is the second meeting between the two sides in 8 months. Austria's build-up has been dealt a blow with midfielder Maria Platner, who had scored 4 goals in the past 5 internationals, missing the tournament after breaking her collarbone in training on Sunday. Freiburg's Lisa Kolbe is also out of contention after testing positive for COVID-19.
Further field, Britain's Cameron Norrie reached the Wimbledon semi-finals by fighting back to win David Goffin in a memorable 5-set thriller, which left the home fans celebrating jubilantly. 26-year-old seeded 9th battled hard to secure a 3-6, 7-5, 2-6, 6-3, 7-5 win against unseeded Belgian Goffin. Norrie is the first British man to reach the Wimbledon singles semi-final since Andy Murray in 2016 and the first British player since Johan Konta in 2017. Norrie will now contest his first Grand Slam semi-final meeting against defending champion Novak Djokovic on Friday. That's all the time we had for KBC Lunchtime News. Thank you so much for watching. But remember, for more of this, plus much more, log on to www.kbc.co.ke. Remember, we also have this news on our social media platform. My name is Njue, and Saudingo has been our sign language interpreter for these live newscasts. Do have a blessed afternoon.